Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Voices of Western podcast. This is the Humans of Western podcast and it's 2022 to 2023 edition of it. The goal of the podcast and the entire Humans of Western account is to get to know the lives of students, alumni, faculty, and staff that we just tend to walk past at Western on ourselves. My name is Emmanuel. I'm joined today by my co-host Rose.
Thank you, Emmanuel. So for today's guest, we have Cat Tang. And so alongside being a fourth-year English student, Cat is a culture editor for Western Gazette. And one of her latest recurring columns on the Gazette has been the Cat Chronicles, where she discusses her first experiences in the London dating scene through the three main dating apps. So a round of applause for Cat Tang. Hi, Cat. How are you?
Hello, it's been good. How are you guys?
Good. We're good. We have things of not doing work, but also thinking about doing work, but not doing the work at all.
I've been sleeping a lot.
Yes, couldn't agree more.
Great idea, honestly.
Yes. So we wanted to talk about what was your experience writing for the Gazette in terms of your idea of Cat's Chronicles and you just going through all those dating experiences here in London. How was it writing about it?
So I think it was definitely nerve-wracking at first because I mostly do reporting at the Gazette. I write a lot about campus events, local arts and culture, and I haven't really done personal writing. So that was a part of it that was nerve-wracking, but also exciting. The original, oh my God, I'm sorry, you can totally hear my dog in the background. The original idea for the column actually wasn't my idea. It was our managing editor, Sarah Wallace, suggested that I start a dating column because Sarah's also a good friend of mine, and we just talk a lot about what it's like, to be a young woman in university trying to navigate relationships, dating scene, and that. And also, I think a lot of the editors at the Gazette really like my humor writing. I've often taken a humorous tone with my articles. So she kind of pitched it to me, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh, maybe this would be interesting to have a column and stuff. I've never really tried this kind of writing. So that was more so the background behind it.
That was really fun. And that when was that idea pitched to you?
I think early September. Yeah.
And so when it was pitched to you, did you immediately say yes and get on the apps and get a roll on?
Not necessarily. I was okay. Well, it was a really interesting idea, and I was like, oh, that sounds very fun, right? But I felt hesitant because I was A, I've never tried this kind of writing, but B, how much do I want to expose of my personal life to strangers or publish it where it's kind of immortalized forever, right?
You're doing more of that now.
Sorry, yeah.
You're doing more of that now, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I know I've just gotten really comfortable with it. But I talked to Sarah and also our editor-in-chief, Hope, about kind of what editorial direction we would want to take with the column, what we would want to include, what we wouldn't want to include, what kind of angle would be. And I think that clarifying that from the get-go and having those parameters made me feel a lot more comfortable writing it. And yeah, just the amount of support that I get from our other staff there.
Yeah, that's really good. How did you get started on getting on the dating apps like that? What was that process like?
So everyone in the office was very excited for me to get on dating apps. It really felt more like a whirlwind. Everyone was just oh my God, when are you in today? Let's set up your profile. And it was just very, very fast. And it at the first seemed I just think that a lot of my coworkers had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I have something to say to that. So
Yeah.
since like everyone was excited for you to like make the dating profiles,
Uh-huh.
were they a, were they a part of the whole process, like choosing your pictures, the
Yes.
prompts, and like the whole thing?
Yes, like
Wow.
very much so. Like they were like, okay, here's what you need to do. Like you need to include, oh, your first picture needs to be like of you by yourself. Then you need to have one with your friends. Then you need to have one with an animal. And I was like, I don't know, you just seemed so much more knowledgeable about it than me. So I'm like, oh, like Jesus, take the wheel. Like like
They
I
definitely
just
have.
I'm like, you guys can have my phone, look through my pictures. Like, yeah.
Mhm.
Another thing was a lot of my friends who I was talking to at the time are in
Mhm.
relationships currently, and I mentioned this in my column, but I did get the sense that they were trying to like vicariously live through my singleness, and they were like, "Oh man, like I miss scroll, like this is so much fun." You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely an interesting experience. I think it's a common experience of people like having their friends, or not having, but being forced by their friends to like let them handle how it comes
Yeah.
up. Yeah,
Mhm.
kind of fun.
Yeah. Because I
Um,
think it's also good to get that outside perspective because I feel like we don't like at least me like I'm not always like oh like how would this be perceived by others or like what would other people think of this picture but then having that feedback of like no you look good here but like you know what I mean of like
yeah.
having the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Like my friends and I do it sometimes as well, and it's just like a fun,
hmm
I don't know, thing to do with them.
hmm
And then, yeah, I personally really enjoy.
yeah
Mhm.
So you set up all your profiles
hmm
on all of the three different apps.
hmm
Uh, which was the easiest one to do, I think, like to set up profile and then like get started on.
get started on was probably like to actually set up was probably Tinder because there aren't really like any written prompts or anything. So you're basically just picking photos. And I also found just like ease of use was easiest on Tinder because it's literally just feels like Candy Crush and you're just like going so fast, so fast,
Swipe
so
kid.
fast, just scrolling all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
I totally agree. Um, I feel like Tinder is more of like a visual,
Yes.
like it's literally just like how you look, and like
Mm-hmm.
everyone just bases it off that. Whereas I know you use like Bumble and Hinge as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see a drastic difference in like in terms of like everyone's profiles or like their personality showing more?
I don't I think you definitely get to see more of like a personality on Hinge because there's a lot more like there's a lot of like different unique prompts you can choose off to show up aspects of your
Mhm.
personality or different kinds of photos. Like for Tinder, I feel like people usually approach it as like, oh, which photos do I look like most conventionally attractive in? And I'll only include those photos. But then in Hinge, there's some that are like, oh, I'll include like some silly pictures or like pictures that show my personality.
Mm,
Um,
Right.
yeah, and I find that Hinge just felt more, like, intentional in that sense.
yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So if you were to like rank the three dating apps, would you put like Hint first then?
If I were to rank them,
Yeah.
yes, I think I would.
Followed by Bumble, or what do you think?
Probably Bumble and then Tinder. I think Hinge okay, in terms of, like but I think it also depends on what you're looking for in your priorities, right? Like,
Mhm.
I was looking for, like I would consider it successful if I got to, like, hit it off with someone through messages and we were able to maintain like a conversation, right? And I feel like Hinge was the easiest conduit for that because there's just so much more to go off of.
Right.
But I think Tinder is the most fun in that it's just like so fast paced, which I think can be fun in its own way. But in terms of because I was looking more for more so conversation, that's why I would rank Hinge first for me.
Mm,
Um,
Mhm.
then Bumble, to be honest, I didn't actually use Bumble that much because I just got really lazy and I didn't want to message the guys first. Um,
so fair.
but I would put Tinder last because I just got a lot of like weird sexual messages on Tinder, so I didn't really feel like I got much out of it.
That's fair.
Right.
I think a thing that I liked about Hinge, I think a lot of my friends like as well, is you don't have to like lead with "hey" with like three
Mhm,
Y's to like start a
mhm.
conversation because that's really boring. And
Yeah,
Hinge gives you like a prompt that you can go with, and
yeah.
a lot of them are funny.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
No, for sure. I totally agree. Yeah.
Mhm. And you
Fair.
could like respond to their prompts instead
Mm-hmm.
of like making something up straight off
Mm-hmm.
the bat, like
Yeah.
which I personally like.
Instead of being like, do I say hey with 2 Y's or 3 Y's? Is it two
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Y's or
never
three
know which one's
Y's?
the
Yeah.
better. What's the right Y ratio? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Um, oh, for I know in your articles you mentioned that like Tinder was more like hookup culture and then like
Mm-hmm.
Hinge is like the real like serious dating. Would
Mm-hmm.
you agree with what you mentioned in the article, or did your opinions change when you were on them?
I don't think anything is like a hard or fast rule in the sense of like I know people who have like met their like long-term partners off of Tinder and stuff like that. But I think overall that did seem like what the culture was to me.
Mhm.
That's fair.
Okay, that's fair.
Were there any other
Mhm.
like trends you found in sort of like profiles on the dating apps then? Or different names?
Dating apps? It's I don't know, a lot of times you see the same people because if they're on one app, they're usually on other apps, right? Um, so that was interesting. I don't know if I mean, if a guy has a picture with a fish on Tinder, he's gonna put his fish picture on Hinge too. Like, I don't think there's a big difference in that. Yeah,
Fair.
yeah.
Fair.
Did you swipe right on any of the people who had like fish?
Okay, if they put the fish towards the end, I sometimes I swipe, but if it was like their first picture, I usually did not swipe.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
I think a common trend I saw on I think Hinge was often
Mm.
people would really often like there's a prompt that's like, what would you order for the table? And time like profile to provide, see like spinach dip. I've never had spinach dip in my life. And I'm always really like, why do people keep talking about it this way? It's really
Mhm.
interesting to me.
I also saw the spinach dip one a lot. Um, I mean, a lot of ones I see on Hinge is like one of them's like, "Oh, what's your most controversial opinion?" And a lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't like pineapple on pizza," or like, "I think
I
pineapple
The
should be
most
on pizza."
controversial.
know.
And
Oh,
I'm like, "We've been having like our cultural discourse has been the same for the last 10 years, you guys." Like,
the
yeah.
biggest opinion you have is about pizza. I think you need to get bigger opinions.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Um, so were you weren't on dating apps prior to this, so this is like your very first time, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm. And and you've only did it in London, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever gone to like Toronto or like other areas? No.
I've like when I've gone home for weekends, I'm from the GTA, so I have swiped like while I was here, but
Mhm.
I've never gone on like a date off of someone that I met who wasn't like in London.
Mhm.
Fair.
Okay, because I was gonna ask if you like saw a difference in
Mhm,
terms of like how many likes you were getting in London versus how
mhm,
many likes you were getting in like the GTA, for instance.
mhm,
Because for me personally, I see a drastic difference in like the number of
mhm,
likes, which maybe makes sense because there's just like more people in Toronto.
mhm,
But like in London, knowing or like being um like an Asian here, like
mhm,
you mentioned like you were scared of people being like having like yellow fever. What is it called?
mhm.
Like
Yeah,
the
yellow
fetish.
fever, yeah.
Yeah. Like
Mhm.
how did you deal with that?
I don't think it's like something necessarily that's like, oh, like a one-time issue and then I deal with it. I feel like for me and a lot of my other friends who are Asian women, it's kind of just like a constant background worry in your mind because of like past experiences that you've had. Like, I feel like even in real life, if I'm out or in public, like
Mhm.
if men try to approach me, a lot of the times they use my race as like a conversation starter of like the class is like, where are you from? And then I'll be like, I'm from the GTA. And they're like, no, but
Right.
where are you really from?
Mm.
Yeah.
Sounds like microaggression to start off the afternoon.
Yeah. I love a hot coffee and a microaggression to start off my day. But yeah, so I feel like because of like we have to navigate the world like that, it's kind of just like a constant worry in the back of your mind of like, why is this person really interested in me?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right. That's a
And I
good
know
idea.
mhm. And I know that because of that worry, some of my friends who are Asian women like choose to only exclusively date other Asian guys.
That's
Mm.
pretty fair though.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you think that like any profiles you've seen have seemed like more targeted towards like your identity as an Asian woman? Anything like that?
No, not explicitly on profiles.
Mm.
Mhm.
It's more like introduction messages and stuff like that.
Sorry, could you
Sorry,
repeat?
yeah, just more like introduction messages and like things like that would be more
Yeah,
targeted.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that'll happen. I think like often I would see profiles on any dating app. It's like specifying looking for guys with mullets. I cannot grow a mullet at all, and I'm like, okay, I guess I swipe left here because I can't
Mhm.
fit that category.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think it's strange seeing how people like choose what they are looking for and like express that in conversations like that.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure. To be honest, like even um actually never mind. I'm not gonna include this, but yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So moving from the app experiences,
Mhm.
how have your overall like first date experiences been as a serial first dater in this case?
They've been a mixed bag. They're definitely always a bit awkward in the beginning. Like I think all first dates kind of are. Because you're basically just like meeting with a stranger for the first time. Like my first dates I've been on 5 first dates. I'm a serial first dater. 3 of them have been from apps. I've only gotten dates off of Hinge. And then the other 2 were set up by were basically blind dates set up by mutuals or coworkers. And
Mhm.
they were definitely like awkward at the beginning, especially, but I think maybe this is kind of lame to say, but I think my work experience at the Gazette kind of helped me navigate them because I've interviewed so many different people for articles now that I do feel really comfortable talking to strangers, and I do feel pretty confident that I'd be able to have a conversation with someone or try to bring up those any commonalities and try to build a rapport with them.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's nice.
So I
Um,
feel like by the time it's like the middle or the end of the day, I do feel like we can get a conversation going. But sometimes most of the time, it actually just feels like a very platonic conversation,
Right.
yeah,
like getting to know someone over coffee.
Mhm.
that's fair. I
Mhm.
think in my like first date experiences, I tend to hope for a platonic conversation because I don't like the idea of like flirting the whole time.
Mhm.
Um, I matched with somebody once, and like the first message they sent was like, "Hey, cutie," and I was like, too much."
You got the
This-
ick? Did you get the
well,
ick?
I think I did. I didn't like how forward it was at first, and then I was like my first response to that was strong intro, and then I kept
Uh-huh.
going, and I was like, how's your day going? And they're like, better now. I'm talking to a 10 like you, and I was like, what are you doing?
Ah!
What are you doing? This is so much right now. Um, it's just so much easier to talk about like a
Mhm.
conversation topic than it is to like lead with flirting and then flirt the whole way.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You
yeah,
don't like it when they come on too strong.
yeah. I wouldn't say it. I do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What about you, Rose?
Um, quick fact about me, I've never been on a first date before,
Mhm.
so I don't know. I don't really have anything to say on that.
Yeah, it's fair.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
like most of the dates that I've been on have been like very conversational-esque, where like yeah, it starts like it's very small because we don't have much to say. We just talk about.
Mhm.
I avoid talking about the weather because that sounds too cliche. But we talk about being tired and also going to school because those are two things we tend to relate to often.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and then from there we just kind of build and like see how personalities match and like talk about experiences and things like that.
Mhm.
Um, it's very fun. I think a very common experience I have when I talk about dating apps with people. I go on a date and I talk like how's your experience on Hinge been so far? A lot of white people is the first response I tend to get, which I think is really funny. Because
Yeah,
it's like,
no, for sure. I was going off of what Rose said earlier about if I see a difference from when I'm in London and GTA. I haven't noticed a difference in likes, but I've noticed that there's like way more diversity when I'm back
Diversity,
home,
yes.
right? Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
diversity win, honestly. It's a
Mhm.
lot of people. Um, I think which isn't, I guess, unsurprising. London, Ontario, not gonna get the entire
Yeah.
GTA in here, but
Yeah.
it's still a bit surprising.
Hmm.
Mm.
Mhm.
Any other first date
Um,
takeaways you have?
First day takeaways. I don't know. I mean, I don't consider myself a first date expert or anything. I do find that some things like, I don't know, I feel like I don't know whether this is a pro or a con because sometimes I think it's a good thing, but in some ways it's also, I guess, a little sad where it's like I find that apps make it kind of desensitizing the same that I don't feel really nervous for first dates anymore. Especially if I'm meeting them off the app. Whereas I feel like previously I would get so nervous, but because now I've just been on so many consecutive first dates over such a short period of time, I don't
mhm.
really get nervous before anymore. And I also think like especially when you meet someone off an app, it's like of course I'm interested. That's why I swiped and I'm going on the date, but it's not like I have developed feelings for them per se. So there's not really as much like anticipation are at stake the way I
Hmm,
perceive like going on the date, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
that's fair.
Mhm.
I think that like before I ever tried going on a date from dating app, I've had a lot of a notion of dating from I guess media and like TV
Mhm.
and not much like that at all, I would say. Kind of
Mhm.
very different.
Yeah.
And so after like the first one, I was like, yeah, this is kind of just like meeting somebody.
Mhm.
It's not that the worst. I don't think it's a sad
Mhm.
thing. Or you know,
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Everyone is so much more awkward in real life.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you learn that everyone has the capacity to be anxious the way you have the capacity to be anxious,
Mhm.
it's pretty easy to just like be like, okay, well, I'm not nervous. They're going to be nervous as well, and then move on from
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did you have any success getting on any second dates yet?
I have not been on a second date yet.
Oh,
So no.
You
oh.
tried planning one, or is it just not going to
There
happen?
was I'm okay, the closest I've gotten to a second date was there was a suggestion at the end of our first date that we would go on a second date. And
Mhm.
then that person ended up getting into a relationship with somebody else. So we never went on that second date, but that was the closest I've gotten so far.
Uh-huh.
Near miss, near miss, I'd say. Unfortunate, happens to the best of us. Mm.
Truly.
And so, what's the experience been like recently? If you've already done all five of these dates, are you still trying to get more first dates in hopes of getting a second date?
No, I think I'm trying to slow down a bit and be more intentional with it because I think my approach to it originally was I just got like very excited because also the attention is exciting, right? Like you look at the likes you get and you're like, wow, I have so many suitors, or like all these guys would never approach me in real life, right? And they're all interested in me, and you think it's something that's like very exciting or special. So then I just like, I wasn't picky at all, really. Like, I always replied. I really said yes to anyone who asked me out, and I went on like a lot of dates. There was this one time where like I had dates set up for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday consecutively. And by the time
A 9 to 5 job over
like
here.
a 9 to 5 job, right? And I actually ended up canceling my third date partially because like I was just so tired. Like I didn't really expect how time consuming or energy draining like this would be, right? Like constantly going, like meeting strangers every day. And then I also kind of approached it like I thought it would be like, oh, like kind of like studying or like practicing the piano or something where it's an input output machine of like, okay, if I put X amount of effort into this or X amount of time, I will receive like Y amount of reward, or like getting like receiving my energy or time back, right? But that was not the case. um so now I'm trying to be a lot more picky and a lot more intentional about like, oh, I only want to go out with this person if like I really, really do want to hang out with them, and not just because they're interested in me.
Yeah, very fair. Yeah. On the topic of being picky and deciding what dates to go on, we're gonna move on to our little segment. This was handmade for you.
Wow,
We're
thank
gonna
you so much, Love.
yeah, made by hand with hands, obviously. We're gonna play the He's a 10 but trend game thing.
Okay.
I'm sure you've heard of it. Yeah. Rose and I both came for like 4 each, and I guess we'll take turns saying them. If you have any, you can just toss them out as well. Okay. Do you want to go first, Rose?
Okay.
Okay.
So my first one is, they're a 10, but they don't know how to cook, so they eat out for every meal.
I feel like that's a pretty like big downside.
Fair.
Yeah.
Did you give that like what number would you give that then?
Okay, wait, I have a question. I'm confused as to
So
how this
fair.
game works.
Okay, we'll explain it.
Wait, so
10.
isn't that sorry.
Okay.
Is it that Rose will say her prompt and then I will say how many points they lose with me? Like I'm like, oh no, there are
They lose or gain, whatever you think.
okay.
So 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest.
But then do I assign them a specific point? Like, oh, there are 4 now, or do I just say lose or gain?
You can just say the number.
Just say the number, yeah.
So like say what you think and like why, I guess. You don't need to, but it depends on the thing. Yeah, so not cooking and only ordering out.
Yeah.
Maybe like a 6?
Yeah, I'd also give a 6. Cooking is important. You should not order out that much. Who has that much money?
Wait, the main thing for me with that is that like I don't really like cooking either, but that suggests like eating out for every meal and not cooking suggests to me that they're not good with money.
Yeah.
And that's more so where the loss of my points comes from.
Yeah.
You don't sound fiscally responsible.
That's important goal.
Yeah.
I have there are 7, but they get along with your friends really well.
I'm gonna say a 9.
I'm
for me,
like a 10.
A 10.
Nice.
Honestly, yeah.
Like honestly, I think it's really like I don't know. I would really like that.
Yeah, it's like really important, I think.
Yeah.
I forget. I'm embarrassed for forgetting the song. Is it a Spice Girls song? If you want to be my lover, you gotta get with my friends.
Yeah.
Forgiveness forever. Friendship never ends.
Exactly. It's important. 10 is fair. That's fair. Do you have one, Cat?
Okay, wait, also now that we're playing a bit, I do get a much better grasp of how this game works now. Okay.
Hey.
Okay. They're a 10, but they say they want to know Jake Gyllenhaal's side of the story.
That's a 1. That's a 1. Why do you need to know that?
I've actually heard someone say this.
Like verbatim? Word for word?
Well, so they're like, I want to know Jake Gyllenhaal's side of the story.
think
And
his
they
side is
lost
that he was like
me.
10 years older than her. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
really strange side to have.
He
Two.
didn't even go to her birthday party. Like we have all the information that we need.
Yeah,
It's laid out there for us.
Mhm.
Enough is
not the biggest Swiftie, but I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to Rose, I think.
What's your rating, Emmanuel?
Yeah, oh, I said two.
You said 2? Okay. So is it back to me?
Yes.
Okay, so mine is they're a 5, but they know how to sing and play an instrument.
They're
Say
still a
7.
5 to me. I don't think it matters to me if they have musical talent.
Mhm.
Fair. I would say 7 because I like listening to instruments. I think they're fun.
Mhm.
Mm.
Okay.
I can do. Okay.
Also,
We're-
sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just the concept or idea of being serenaded by someone potentially loses points with me.
Yeah.
So that's
I do
fair.
not want that to happen.
What I
Leave
think
the guitar
about
at
is
home,
what
please.
yeah. I think about like what am I supposed to like
Mhm.
act during that whole
Yeah.
like serenade situation? Am I sitting there just like listen? I don't know.
Something that I think is romantic in theory, like one of my favorite movies is 10 Things I Hate About You. And I love that scene where like Heath Ledger sings Can't Take My Eyes Off of You. And I think it's so romantic. But then if that were to happen to me in real life, I would get the
Like
ick so
standing and like
bad.
just like
I'd be like,
watching somebody play
"Stop
piano.
right
Yeah.
now."
Hmm. I think it's a better party trick than a one-on-one situation to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. They're an 8, but they also work at the Gazette.
Oh, 1.
I
Wow.
don't know
Okay.
anything about. Wait, can you explain why it's the 1? It's just because you're working there?
Yes, just because I'm working there. I love everyone at the Gazette. They're lovely. Like, I think that they're great dating material, but not for me. I would never go out with somebody that I work with.
So
Do
fair.
they have like a certain personality? Like I don't know how to like rank this because I've never.
I guess it was made for a cat specifically, so that's
I
fair.
don't know. Like, I don't think they have a specific personality. Like, something I really like about it is that I feel like we do get like an array of personalities from like all different corners of campus. You should expect that they know like a lot of information about the school that like you probably don't think is interesting or really want to talk about. I don't know. I think it's just like they'll probably talk about the Gazette a lot. But yeah.
It's true. My
Mhm.
Gazette friends do that quite often.
Yeah, they do. It's a cult.
Love a good cult,
Okay.
honestly.
Yeah.
They're rating an 8 for me.
Yeah.
Rating an 8.
Or they'll just be like,
Wait.
"Oh my God, in the office," and you're like, "Please stop talking about the office." Yeah.
Wait, did you mention that they were an 8 or a 7 first?
I said 8. I said 8.
Oh, I think they're just gonna say an 8 because I
Yeah.
don't know. We'll see.
That's fair.
Mhm.
I think my next one is there are 4, but they are really into rock climbing.
They're a 1.
Why?
Okay, maybe not a 1, that's harsh, but like, I don't see why rock climbing would give them points.
I don't. Why would it lose them points specifically?
Yeah.
Okay, because like, I just don't understand like, I don't really understand the appeal of it conceptually. Like, okay, personally, I'm really scared of heights, so I would never go rock climbing. But
Fair.
why would you just see something and be like, "Oh, I want to climb that"? Like, I don't understand.
So fair. So
Yeah.
fair. Just the
Like,
little
I've
child
never
instinct.
felt that urge in my life. If I just like see a wall of rock and I'm like, "Ooh, I really want to climb it." Like, I've never thought that.
Mhm.
I fell down a tree once to climbing it. It's like, oh
Oh
my god, look,
no.
this seems like a fun little thing to get up high, and then I just plummeted. It was a great time.
Were you
Um,
okay?
Yeah, I think like I was like I scraped my arm, but I was embarrassed for having done that, so I didn't tell my parents, and so it was just, like light pain in the car for a bit.
Okay.
Not a problem.
But it's good you only scraped your arm. I feel like that could have been a lot worse.
It could have.
Yeah.
Don't climb trees with people without telling anyone you're doing that. Bad idea.
Okay. I've never climbed a tree. I would never
Okay.
do that.
Yeah, anti-heights, anti-climbing. Okay.
Yeah, I'm anti-climbing.
Okay. You have,
So funny.
you have another one? Yeah?
Oh,
Okay. Oh, me?
Either of you.
Okay. He's a 10, but he has mommy issues.
My instinct response is don't we all, but that's not the right response, and that's not true for me. 5. Go to therapy. Therapy is good.
I'm gonna go with 3.
3. Everyone, Purple Care covers about $750 worth of therapy.
And
This
you
is
can
a
use
PSA for everyone
you
who
can
has
use
mommy
any
issues.
therapist in London,
Get
any therapist
help.
anywhere, and it's fine. It's good. Yeah. Seek help for mommy or daddy issues that you might have.
Yes. Yeah.
Rose.
Okay, my next one is they're a 9, but they're an avid gamer.
Depends the game. Depends the game.
Okay, it depends on how the gaming impacts
Their life.
our communication. Like, I'm fine. Like, I don't have a problem if they game in their free time, but will they ignore me to play games? Like, would they rather play games and hang out with me? Yeah. So it depends.
Maybe I'm a bad person here. I think like I really do not like first person shooters. And I think if somebody was like, yeah, I'm really into Valorant or League of Legends, I would not want to keep talking to them. No offense to anyone that does play those games. I'm sure you're a lovely person. It's so many moving things. It's too much. I like my little cozy games.
But here's the thing. I think because of that perception, I've been out with guys who do play League of Legends, but they initially lie about it when I ask them if they play, and it's only revealed later that they played League of Legends. And I'm like, I wish that they had just been honest with me from the start.
I appreciate the lying in this sense. I think if somebody's embarrassed about I like that. Maybe I'm a bad person. I like when people are embarrassed about things that I think should be a little bit embarrassing. That way I feel like I don't need to judge them because they're judging themselves, you know?
Yeah, okay. I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're rightfully ashamed of their hobby.
Yeah. Sometimes like feeling a little bit of shame is good, you know? Like if someone's like, yeah, I'm an Ivy student. I'm like, okay, that's
I'm like,
cool.
are you embarrassed about it? Are you proud of it?
Are you proud of that?
There's only one
over
right
here.
answer. Yeah.
I get disclaimer. I do not hate Ivy students. I would not say that publicly. But yeah.
Off the record. Off the record.
Do not hate Ivy students. I think they are pretty cool. Yeah. Okay. Gonna close off. They were 9, but you guys do not have the same media interests at all. You don't watch any same shows, any same movies, and they aren't just don't have anything in common in media sense.
Okay, but are they willing to show interest in the things you're interested in?
I think they'll sit with you and watch something, but they won't be invested in it in order to do it again, I guess.
Maybe
Wait, what's the number again?
9.
9.
Like a 6?
Fair.
Yeah, I'd agree. As long as they're willing to watch a different genre of movies with me, but they won't
they're strict in their own thing, and don't tend to budge, but you don't.
But they judge me. Are they judging me?
They're not judging you, but they're just not interested in it at all. Like if you're like, oh, I'm gonna go watch insert movie here. If you're like, I'm gonna go watch
American Psycho.
I'm gonna go watch American Psycho. They're like, okay, cool. bye, and they don't like, let me just watch together, like never. And then like they're like, I'm gonna go watch Iron Man 5, and that doesn't exist. I don't know why I said that. And you're like, okay, it's not your interest, and you guys just don't meet in there in that path, basically.
Like, I'm totally fine if like we don't have similar interests when we initially meet, but I think that like it means a lot to me if they would show interest in the things that I'm interested in just because I'm interested in it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's fair. Okay, I think that's enough for this segment. Probably done a lot of time also.
That was fun, guys. Thank you for preparing that. I really like that.
Not a problem.
Welcome.
Not a problem. It was a fun game to play.
Mhm.
Okay. To close off, I guess also in theme of like being picky with apps and people, which is not a thing to do usually. Be selective, don't be picky. Are there any other like critiques you have? Not critiques, but like things you try to stay away from on most profiles or things like that when you're like choosing who to swipe on? If you're just like you're slowing down and trying to be more selective in how you are doing things.
I don't this is more like pet peeves. I don't like it when like their first few photos are all group pictures because I'm like, I can't tell which one you are. Like, and then I have to scroll all the way through just to find out who you are. Like, because that to me just shows like that they don't really know how to best use the app.
Right.
Just a learning curve somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair.
It's like a puzzle too. Like you're trying to look at like who's like the same person in all of these groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then what if they have a really good friend who's in all of their pictures?
Like I want this friend, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I take an absurd amount of selfies of myself. So like I think I'd have like one or two with other people, but like it's mostly me.
Oh, another thing. Urinal selfies. Like not selfies at the urinal, but like bathroom selfies in the washroom with like the urinal in the background. I don't like it.
Odd choice. Odd choice for public profile, I
But
think.
it's much more common than you think it is.
Huh.
Truly.
Really?
Yeah, no, it's pretty.
Yes.
Weird. Strange. Strange.
Truly,
Wait, what are your thoughts on like gym photos? You know, like
personally,
like
I'm not into it, but I know that there are other people who are. It's just not really like my thing. Like if a guy's just like flexing his muscles for his entire profile, like to me, I don't know. I'm just like this person seems like really into themselves. So it's kind of a turn off for me. But I think it's just like a type or a preference thing. Like I know there are other people who like it.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah. Well, I think that's probably a good enough place to end off. Thank you so much again for joining us, Kat. It's been really fun talking to you and getting to know more about your column. Hope to read more of it soon if any updates do come up. Hope you get a second date eventually, I think.
Yes. You guys will know if I do.
Yeah, be one of the first to read it. And for whoever's listening, make sure to pick up a copy of the Gazette. They are in every building, I think, ever on campus. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Thank you for having me. I hope you guys had fun as well.
Yeah, it was really fun talking to you. Yeah. Okay. Goodbye.
Enjoy the rest of your reading week, guys.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hi again. Thank you for listening to the Voice of Western podcast. We've been your hosts, Emmanuel and Rose. Feel free to follow the Humans of Western Instagram account at humans_Western, as well on TikTok at humans of Western, no spaces. And also our YouTube channel, also conveniently named Humans of Western.
For more of our podcast, check out Voices of Western on all podcast platforms. Thanks for listening and have a nice day.